So your workouts might change a little bit when you're on a keto diet. You might find you're stronger in some ways, a little bit weaker in others, have more endurance in some ways, less in others. The fact is, if you understand what's going on in the body and you understand how you orient your workouts, you can make the most out of this and actually end up far ahead. So what I'm going to do is break down the different styles of working out that you should be doing on a keto diet. Hey, I'm Thomas DeLauer, the lead trainer and head nutritionist over at SixPackAbs.com. We now have the world's leading intermittent fasting and keto programs. My science-based six-pack fasting program and the Ketox keto program. So let's go ahead and let's talk different training methodologies for a second and different training mediums. The first thing I want you to start doing is training more with the creatine phosphate system. So what that means is lifting heavier. Now, this doesn't necessarily apply to everybody, but if you are someone that likes to lift a little bit heavier, lift heavy. Lift in that 1 to 4 repetition range because the creatine phosphate system is your primary means of fuel in this case. So what that means is you're not having to rely on carbohydrates. You're not having to rely on any carbohydrates to get you that initial burst of energy. You see, the creatine phosphate system works in its own way. It works purely on fueling the first few reps of a movement. And creatine phosphate is only replenished by stores of creatine within your body. Stores of creatine have nothing to do with the overall carb content in your body. So it makes it really easy to rejuvenate and be ready again for your next set. You're not having to rely on carbohydrates for fuel. So try lifting heavy. You'll find that your heavy weights don't change all that much on the keto diet. Now, the other thing that's important to know is there is zero need to carb up before a workout. Okay? The Journal of Metabolism actually found that conditioned athletes ended up having just as much glycogen stored in their muscles if they were on a keto diet than those that weren't on a keto diet, showing that you still have carbs stored in your muscles that are going to give you fuel for your workout. So you don't need to be changing things up. You don't need to add carbs or do special periodic carb timing. Just train the way you would normally train and your body's going to adapt just fine. When it comes to endurance training, you're definitely going to want to make sure that you train in as close to a fasted state as possible. What this is going to do is it's going to allow your body to tap into its stored body fat reserves a lot easier. You see, when you're doing endurance work, your body is already wanting to use fats as a fuel source, whether you are in keto or not. It's called beta oxidation, and it's a pretty remarkable thing, honestly, what the body does. But when you're in keto, your body's already wanting to use fats. So you have a double whammy, an activity where your body wants to use fats, and then normal daily activity where your body wants to use fats. So obviously, you're going to be very conditioned with your endurance work. The cool thing is, when you're in keto though, you have what's called the ability to be dual fueled. Dual fueled means that your body can run on carbs when it needs to, but also run on fats. So that means when you're going low and slow in your endurance activity, your body's going to use fats. But as soon as you have to hit a hill and sprint a little bit, your body's going to tap into stored carbohydrates. It's the only way that you can get your body to be genuinely dual fueled. So make sure you train in a fasted sense so that your body has the ability to switch those gears a little bit easier. Okay, the next thing is going to be combining your HIIT training with keto, but predominantly in a fasted state. So do your HIIT in a fasted state while on a ketogenic diet. The Journal of Physiology actually published a study, took a look at 3 different groups. Took a look at a group that consumed high amount of carbs, a group that consumed a periodized like rotation of carbs, like carb cycling, and a group that ate a high-fat, low-carb diet. What they found is that the group that consumed the high-fat, low-carb diet ended up oxidizing 2.5 times as much fat as the other groups. So the keto diet actually encouraged the body to burn more fat, oxidize more fat for fuel. Okay, so that's point 1. The other point is that when you are doing HIIT cardio, you're elevating what are called catecholamines. Okay, catecholamines are like adrenaline, noradrenaline, et cetera, et cetera. Noradrenaline and adrenaline, epinephrine, norepinephrine, those all trigger lipolysis. They trigger hormone-sensitive lipase to act on fat burning, so it triggers fat to be burned. Okay, we need catecholamines to burn fat. So do the math. 2.5 times fat oxidation, 2.5 times fat burning, combined with adrenaline, noradrenaline, you get a double whammy. Okay, your high intensity interval training just became that much more effective while you are on a keto diet. So if you do it when you're fasted, then your body's already conditioned to using fats. You already have an elevated level of catecholamines because you're fasted, and then you add HIIT into the mix. It's a triple whammy. So that's definitely what you want to do. In fact, a study that was published in the journal Amino Acids actually concluded that when you do high intensity interval training, you have a 6.3-fold increase in epinephrine and a 14.5-fold increase in norepinephrine each time you do an interval. You definitely don't want to be skimping on your high intensity interval training while you're in keto, even though some people tell you that it's going to be difficult to do because you don't have carbs in your system. But But case in point, bullet number 2 that I talked about, you do have carbs in your system. So I hope that this summarizes how you should be doing your workouts on a ketogenic diet. Okay, don't change a whole lot. Lift a little bit heavier, do your endurance work in a fasted state, don't carb up beforehand, and definitely do HIIT. Do not skip it, even if it's hard. You want the stress, that's what burns the fat. As always, keep it locked in here on SixPackAbs.com, and I'll see you in the next video.